You asked, we delivered. New Mike's Hard Lemonade Zero Sugar. Zero sugar. Amazing taste. Years in the making. Now that's a drink worthy of the name Mike.
Hello everyone, I'm Mike Smith for Litter Media. This is our Pickaway County Special Edition, which we have each Wednesday morning at approximately 10 o'clock. You can see that on our Litter Media Facebook as well as Litter Media YouTube. We are in Circleville today on remote as we're going to be talking with Don McElroy, the Mayor of Circleville. Mayor McIlroy, good to see you. Thanks for letting us come to your place.
Well, thank you for coming, Mike. We appreciate it, and thanks for highlighting the city of Circleville.
Let's start out with Don McElroy, first of all. You were talking to us before going on the air, some fascinating stories about how you even came to this town.
About 30 years ago, I was in the hospitality industry most of my life, and I moved around all through middle of the country. But then I got married. I got married late in life. I got married when I was 42 years old, and my wife indicated that we needed to settle down, and I was looking for a place. I still wanted to stay in the hospitality industry, and the opportunity came for me to come to Deer Creek Resort with a management company and manage Deer Creek. So I managed Deer Creek for about 2 years, and that was 30 years ago. Uh-huh. And then we had a retreat. There was a retreat out in at the lodge, and I met Jack Hanna. And to make a long story short, Jack called me that Monday morning and offered me a job to come and work at the Columbus Zoo and Aquarium, which I did that for 14 years, and I retired. Then the opportunity came up to run for office, and I was successful. And I was successful the last two elections also. So I'm in my 12th and last year of mayor of the city of Circleville. Yeah. Loved every minute of it, okay?
When you look back over what, as we stay on that theme of your tenure here as mayor, what is it that attracted you to want to live in Circleville?
Well, I like the small town feel. I realized that growth was coming, and I wanted to make sure that I could manage that growth with the elected officials and the citizens of Circleville, that they had a voice in what the change was going to look like. But it was close enough. It was close enough to Columbus that for 20 minutes we can go up there and participate in anything that we want to do. You know, we can go to Ohio State football games, basketball games, we can go to shopping or whatever, but the good thing is we get to come home. Okay?
It seems like Pickaway County, not just Circleville, but Pickaway County has become kind of a community for people who maybe work in Columbus but want to live here.
Yeah, we have about 35 or 40% of our population here in Circleville that work outside of the city. Some of them work in the county, but most of them are probably up in the Franklin County area or down in Ross County area. But we have about 40%. It's probably going to even grow a little bit more with all of the growth that's happening around Rickenbacker Air Base. It's just become the commercial hub, and I think we're going to see, I think we're going to be beneficiaries of that with people moving into our community. Intel even will have some effect on the city of Circleville and Pickaway County.
So when you first came into office 12 years ago as mayor, what were some of the challenges for city of Circleville at that time, and what you did to try to tackle those?
Well, at one time, Circleville was really relatively a rich city. We had a general fund, or a rainy day fund, that was really strong. We had GE with about 3,000 employees. We had RCA with about 3,000 employees, and we had Smurfit, a paper company, with about 2,000 employees. Around 2008, we lost all of those businesses. And the city of Circleville relies on income tax more than anything else. When I came into office, our rainy day fund was around $400,000, which was really not sustainable. I am very, very pleased to say that we are now close to $3 million in that rainy day fund, and we're at 2.7. I think by the end of this year we'll probably be at $3 million in that carryover. Which, when you have that carryover, then your ability to borrow money is even better. Your Moody rating goes up, et cetera, et cetera. We have a good Moody's rating, but we need to get that top level. And I think at $3 million we will do that. But that's been the biggest thing. But what has caused that is growth in our industry. We have our number one employer in the city is Ohio Health Burger Hospital. They have increased quite a few employees there since the merger with Ohio Health. We have Healthcare Logistics, which moves some of their property from the Grove City over to us. Their growth is phenomenal. We have a new company called Forjack. Forjack is a paint remover, painting, scrubbing company. They also were in the Columbus area, and they moved here. It's a family that grew up here in Circleville and Pickaway County, but they moved their business over here, and they are just gaining, really doing well. Plus, we built a couple gas stations that helped us with some gas taxes. Okay, we have some property taxes, so all of that contributes to growth. Growth says money's here, so we're very, very pleased to see that go from about $400,000 to almost $3 million in rainy day fund.
For so many years, DuPont was also a name that was synonymous with Circleville. What's their current status?
Well, you know, I get a kick out of that because it says Circleville DuPont, and they sit in the township. Okay, they just opened a new film manufacturing. It was a $250 million investment into that plant. When the merger came with Dow, we were worried that perhaps they would be leaving, but they have now turned out to be one of the strongest portions of the DuPont Corporation, but they're doing extremely well, and a lot of our citizens work there.
Is there any part of Circleville that's seeing, I mean, as far as the city proper, that's seeing more growth as far as housing, things of that nature than another?
Yeah, two things. Housing seems to be in the northern part of the city of Circleville, and retail growth is to the south, 23. We've seen a tremendous amount of retail growth there. But housing is, this year we have 4 housing developments coming in. There will be probably 350 new homes by the end of this year. Next year we have a developer that's looking to bring in 700 single-family units. Not all single-family. Some will be apartments, some will be senior living, but most of them will be single-family. So,
I know in talking with economic development officials in many communities around our area for 40-plus years, a lot of times when they discuss how they talk with potential businesses coming in, those businesses always want to know about the schools in that community. And it seems like Circleville City Schools is growing. We just on the outskirts, Logan Elm getting a new campus. So that seems to be there's signs that there's good things there, so people want to come and live in those communities with good schools.
you know, I'm really proud of our schools, and prior to becoming mayor and between working at the zoo and here, I did have some time, and I became the grassroots chairman for the new schools. Mm-hmm. I was a grassroots chairman for when it failed, but then I was a grassroots chairman for when it passed. At that time, we had 4 elementary schools located throughout the city. We had a separate junior high school, and then we had our senior high school. What we were able to do is have one campus, okay? And that campus is very, very close to Ohio Christian University. They're connected by Route 22, and they're connected by a walking path. So those students can get credit over at the university also. But the schools have been very, very important to us. We see our elementary school growing to the point that the school is talking about building maybe another facility for preschool and K. I haven't been a part of that discussion, but I know that they're talking about it. But schools are very, very important to us. Our grade cards are really improving, and a lot of that has to do with our supervisor, our school board, and our teachers. So,
people that are my age remember Circleville from many years back, remember what used to be referred to as Everett's School. Well, that has a different usage now. Talk about that.
Well, there's two uses there. One is senior housing. That's something that we turned over to a developer. I think that was 2015 that we did that. And then the portion that the city owned, we worked with a local entrepreneur who has turned that into a recreational facility for young people. It had, and still does, have one of the largest basketball seating arenas in Central Ohio. It's an amazing facility. They have just put in a new floor. It's gorgeous. They have judo classes, and they have a shooting range up there that young people can shoot pellets and whatnot, and they're very, very qualified and very, very good. So that whole facility has turned into a place for young people to go and enjoy. So
many communities of our size, they like to do something with their downtown. What's Circleville's plan there?
Well, for many years we had some vacant buildings. Most recently, last year, 5 of those buildings were sold. I will say of the 5, 3 are now developed. On the corner of Court and Main, the old IOF building, there are 8 businesses in there, 5 in the front and 3 inside. A local entrepreneur, Kevin Stewart, has done a remarkable job. Another entrepreneur that we have is Curtis Christopher. He has the 2 other corners and is doing a great job. Peck's Hall is a meeting place, and he's taking the Kreitz building and turning that into a retail space. But what's more important is that our residents of the city have really, and the county, have really embraced our downtown area to the point that we have about 15 new businesses downtown in the last year and a half. We only have about 3 faces that are not full. One of those are spoken for. So we have a very vibrant downtown. We also have a group called Uptown Circleville. Uptown Circleville will hopefully morph into a Main Street program. But they are really dedicated folks and are really working hard to bring people into the downtown area. So we are excited about downtown. We think it has gone through a series of developments. We think it's where it should be now. We are working on aesthetics. Okay, we have a couple buildings that probably need to look a little bit better on the outside as you come into the city. But we're working with them to make that look a little bit better.
Many communities, I know Lancaster's done this, Chillicothe has done this. With the development of their downtown, they're trying to incorporate their rich history. Has Circleville embraced that too?
Oh, absolutely. You know, we have a historic review district committee that makes sure that we take care of our historic buildings. We keep the look of our historic buildings. But one of the things I forgot to mention about downtown is Pumpkin Show Inc. purchased a piece of property and turned it into what we call Pumpkin Show Park. It is a remarkable park. It's a place where you can go and have entertainment. People can gather. This is where we have our Christmas festivals and whatnot, and that's in the middle of our city.
Right.
And it's gorgeous. So we do bring a lot of people into the downtown area because of Pumpkin Show Park.
You brought it up. You can't think of Circleville without thinking of Pumpkin Show. I mean, this makes Circleville a worldwide acclaimed town because of that activity.
You know, when I moved here 30 years ago, I was amazed. Okay, I didn't realize. You know, we're a population of just a little over 14,000 people. If the Ohio State Band comes, we will have 100,000 people a day that come into this community. Boy, did we get to show ourselves off. But what I found more importantly, we have so many entrepreneurs, okay? People parking cars and selling out of their house and their porches. I mean, it is a great festival. It is a clean festival, and it's a fun festival. You know, we're close to the population centers of Franklin County, Columbus, and Chillicothe, and Lancaster, so we get a lot of draw from that. But it is a time for us to shine, and it's a lot of fun, okay? But it's a lot of work, too.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
A lot of work.
Parks and recreation. I was telling you a story. We stopped in at Ted Lewis Park here a few weeks back and noticed all the beautiful additions that are being made. Talk about those.
Well, when we talk about growth, we talk about housing, we talk about parks, we have to talk about quality of life, and that is what the new home buyer is looking for. They're looking for good schools, good shopping, and I think quality of life. So when we look at our parks, we want to make sure that we meet that quality of life for them. Take Ted Lewis Park, for example. Ted Lewis Park was an aging park. City Council decided to have a study done, and we reached out to the citizens of Circleville, and they said this is what we'd like to see. So phase one is we did a new infrastructure and put in some new sidewalks. Phase two was a new splash pad, a new playground, a new shelter, and again walking paths. Okay, we thought it would be great for people that work in the downtown area could walk down there for lunch. We have kept the two diamonds. Okay, those are primarily softball diamonds. We've kept them, and then phase three will be coming up, and I don't know what phase three will be. That will be up to the park board to decide. But we've invested about $2.4 million in Ted Lewis Park, and quite frankly, it is really a good-looking park right now. But when we look at our parks, we have to take a look at meeting all expectations. Our largest park is Mary Virginia Kreitz Park, and that is really a recreational park. It's a park where you can jog and run. There's a dog park there. We do have a splash pad out there. We do have a really nice exercise playground area. But we have a Four Seasons shelter house also. So Mary Virginia is a very, very popular park. Barthelmess Park. Barthelmess Park is our big recreation park where we have baseball, softball, soccer. We have about 20 acres there. I think there are 5 or 6, I think there's 6 diamonds there the kids can play on. We have basketball courts. The Pickleball Association is now building a new pickleball court there. They shared it with one of our basketball courts. Now they're having one dedicated just to them. But and then soccer. I mean, that soccer facility is great. And quality of life, we just planted 48 trees out there at that park for shade and whatnot. But right next to that, a couple of years ago, the city purchased another 20 acres. So right next to that 20 acres, it's another 20 acres. It is yet to be developed, but that will be probably recreation again. Probably some softball fields, upscale softball fields, and some other things. But the park board is working on that. We have a couple other pocket parks. We have Smith Park. Smith Park has a little diamond on it. It has a playground, a basketball court. We are very, very pleased with our parks. We think that we've done the right thing to enhance this quality of life. So parks are very important to us.
As part of that, Don, I know communities like to have visitors, and that means tourism. Your tourism welcome center is just on the west side of town. You have something that most of our people in this area are familiar with, but maybe visitors from other counties watching today, the Octagon House. What are the Canal Park, those kind of things that have been there for many, many years, but you're trying to get them revitalized so people, are going to migrate back there?
We have a county park that has really invested a lot of money into our county parks. One is the Canal Park that you're talking about. You can actually literally walk from that park to New Holland if you wanted to, and hopefully there will be a bike path and everything else. That is a great park. It showcases what the canal days used to be like back in the 1800s, when that's how you move goods. Octagon House, it needs some financing, but once it gets its financing, it's going to be amazing. They did have this group of ghost hunters just recently come out there and spend a couple nights in there. But more importantly, it's where we're located. When we say visitors coming in here, we have historical museums that they can go to. We have But we have opportunities for them because we're close to Hocking Hills, okay, that they can go down to Hocking Hills, stay here, and go down to Hocking Hills, come back. And we've created that because we have created new facilities for folks to come and visit. We have New Hampton Inn.
Lodging, yeah.
When Hampton Inn came in, we saw that some of the other lodging facilities improved themselves. So, and we're working on a Marriott. Marriott may be coming in here later this year or next year. So we're getting a lot of people coming in here to spend some time. And a couple reasons for that is I told you about all of the out at the university. We have two really beautiful fields. Okay, we have a nice basketball, but we have a baseball field and a softball field. At the school, we have four softball fields. We have two baseball fields. We have 5 tennis courts. We're bringing people in here to spend the night and spend money in this community, so they make it a multiple stay. And that's why we're seeing these hotels pop up. We're seeing it pop up with the growth of our businesses. We're seeing people come in. Sofidel is a big plant that just opened up. They make toilet paper. They have business associates come in. So we're seeing our lodging really improve, and that's helping us with our visitors that come in.
We mentioned the Welcome Center. How closely does the city also work with, for example, the Chamber of Commerce when you're looking for possible development?
We work well with the Visitors Bureau, the Chamber of Commerce, Uptown Circleville, and a group called P3, Pickaway Progress Partners. This is our local economic development group. But we work very, very closely with them. We kind of keep them abreast of what we're working on. They keep us abreast of what they're working on. It's important to keep any new developers happy, okay, and make sure that we're honest with what we're telling them. Okay.
One of the last things we wanted to visit, and it's something you and I talked about, just an update, and we'll briefly touch on this. There was some discussion, some community input on whether to change the conventional city government to what's known as a charter. What's the update on that?
Yeah, let me start by talking about what our city is. We are a statutory city, and by statutory I mean you have a city council. We have 8 elected officials. 4 of those come from our 4 wards. 3 of them are at large, and they represent all the cities in all wards. And then we have a council president. They are the law-making group of the city. We have an auditor. It's a part-time position, but the auditor runs his. We have a law director. That's a part-time position. And he gives advice to city council. We have a municipal court judge. That's a full-time position. And then you have my job as mayor. It is a part-time position. We do 2 things and 2 things only, is that we administer what city council gives us as far as laws. We call them ordinances. Our job is to administer those and to make sure that we adhere to what city council wants. The second thing we do is we provide a service. Okay, that service is police, fire, streets, water, wastewater. Okay, make sure that our citizens have what they need to live. So it's very basic. We administer what city council passes, and we provide a service. Okay? A lot of people think that the mayor has a lot of power. The mayor doesn't. A lot of people think the mayor should build a steakhouse, but I can't build a steakhouse. Okay? I'm looking for an entrepreneur. Okay? Yeah, thank you for asking that question. But let's go back to the charter. Yeah, I think my staff and I truly believe, and I think most of City Council believes that we should become a charter city. If we're going to compete with other communities, we need to have a city manager. So we are excited about maybe in the next couple of years taking another charter to the voters. We've done it twice. It hasn't been successful. But I think that it's something that needs to be done if we're going to move forward. Yeah.
And for our viewers, something that's comparable that you might be able to identify, well, what is that? Washington Courthouse, which is our neighbors to the west, they have a charter government. Don, is there anything else that you wanted to touch on before we close today?
Well, I did. I wanted to talk a little bit about our growth, okay, and tell you a few things that have happened. I mentioned the downtown area, that we have the the new buildings that are being that were purchased and being built, but more importantly, people come here. People like to eat, you know, and they like to drink coffee. We have 3 wonderful freestanding coffee places here in the city of Circleville. That's remarkable for our size. We have Joy House, we have Scioto Valley, and then we have
Starbucks.
Starbucks. Thank you very much.
You can tell Dan and I don't drink coffee.
Starbucks, and right next to Starbucks, and that came to us from a developer that I've been working with, and he brought in City Barbecue for us, and that is remarkable. When City Barbecue opened, it was one of the 3 that had a drive-through. Okay. Of all of those in their family, and they were the #1 revenue producing City Barbecue for about 5 months.
Wow.
Okay? Just remarkable. We work very, very closely with P3, okay, the Economic Development Group. Every mayor comes in, and every mayor has some things that they feel personal about, and mine was economic development. One of the things that I'm very, very pleased with is that the city council made a decision to put a new connector in between Court Street and the West Side Shopping Center, bisecting Route 23. This was important because when Walmart moved across the street, that was not in the city. That was, and it still is in the township. But we had the potential of becoming a cement parking lot. But that connector has done such a good job that we have 5 new businesses in there. Every face is full, everything is good. But also where South Court Street Elementary School used to sit is a big open lot. There's about 10 acres there. And that connector is going to allow the developer to come in and work on that lot. And hopefully we'll see something by the end of the year. I need to work with council on something, but we'll get that done. But I'm really pleased with, and streets. You know, one of the things that, this is a negative, and I don't like to talk about negatives, but I want to be honest, okay? When I came into office, I had about $400,000 a year to do streets. And unfortunately, we couldn't do a lot of streets at $400,000. So we passed a safety levy, okay, and that safety levy supported our police and fire and also gave us some additional money for streets. So we went from $400,000 to $1 million. But here's the problem. The cost of product, okay, tar, the cost of everything has gone up. I can now do what I do with $1 million, what I did for $400,000, okay, so I apologize to the citizens always that, yeah, we want to get to your streets and we're going to get to your streets, but unfortunately we just don't have it. I'm going to write the 2024 budget. I'm going to council and ask for a little bit more money now that we're doing a little bit better in our general fund. So we'll see if I can get that. But streets are a problem, and you know, the weathers that we have here in Central Ohio sometimes are not good. Okay. But one of the things that we do well is that we just bought a hot mix machine that if there are potholes, we go out and fix potholes. If, Mike, for your example, or Dan, if you call in and say, I found a pothole, we're on it that day. It's fixed that day. Unfortunately, we have a lot of potholes. But we're working hard on our streets, and I think the next mayor will probably take that on as a challenge. So.
Well, obviously, the people of Circleville have appreciated what you've done. You've been here in this office for 12 years, and we wish you all the best moving forward.
Well, Mike, I appreciate that, and I hope that the citizens have that same thought process. But it's important to know that I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be successful if I didn't have a great staff. Okay, and over the 12 years, I've had some really good people. I have a service director now that has served. I'm the third mayor that he has served. I've got an HR director that is just remarkable. She has helped us with our development of our employees, helped us recruit. We struggle with police officers. A great success story is when I came into office, we had four firefighters per shift, okay? We have 8 per shift now, all EMTs. Wow. All of them are trained, okay? And with that, we're seeing our volume go up and up and up. We do not have an ambulance service. We used to in Pickaway County, but we don't now. So we're seeing a lot of our runs go to nursing homes. But we have the staff to do that, okay? I have a new safety director in Doug DeBoer. Doug comes from the Highway Patrol. I mean, these people make me look good. And the people prior to them made me look good. So when you talk about the mayor, you also have to talk, if successful, you have to talk about these people, so.
Mayor, thanks for joining us today, or letting us join you in your office.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Again, our guest today on this Pickaway County Special Edition, Circleville Mayor Don McElroy. For Litter Media, I'm Mike Smith.